I remember sitting in a church service one Sunday morning when I was about 10 years old. Now, the preacher, whom I normally didn't listen to very much, was talking about a story in the Bible that happened oddly to catch my attention. In the story, a crowd of people were gathered around Jesus, and the topic of conversation was a family with a sick child. Now, I just have to share this with you. When I was a kid, and honestly, probably still today, whenever I hear someone talking about a story from the Bible where a crowd of people were gathered outside, I always pictured them right outside my house, in my yard, or in my street, or in my neighborhood, because I guess that way then the story could matter to me. Well, back to this story. Whenever the preacher was talking about the people gathered around Jesus, and there was this sick kid, and I think the preacher said that demons were involved. So I sat up a little straighter and listened a little more closely, and then the preacher described the child as having an evil spirit, and that was causing foaming at the mouth. The story was getting really good. And then we got to the crux of the matter. The parent was asking Jesus and the disciples to remove the spirit from the child. Jesus then looked out and said to the crowd, "What an unbelieving lot you are." Jesus took the child from the parents, asked a few more questions of the parents, and the parents begged for help. "If you can do anything, have pity on us and help us." And Jesus replied, "If you can, everything is possible for those who believe." The parent then responded with 6 of my favorite words in the Bible. "I do believe. Help my unbelief." It makes sense that we are focusing on belief today, Easter Sunday. And I would be kidding myself if I thought that we all have this belief business under control and nailed down. Now, to tell you the truth, that cool Bible story that I was intrigued in kind of left me with a little bit of fear. What if I am one of the unbelieving lot that Jesus was talking about? What will happen to me? Now, this story told me there was a kind of magic to belief. Everything is possible for those who believe. Wow, that's great, but what if I don't have enough of this magical substance? Now, the story never left me for long as I grew older. As a teenager, I felt like I had this belief thing all under control, and then the props fell out from under me when a relationship ended. My belief in the boy that I loved was all wrapped in and around my belief in God and somehow tangled up in my belief in myself. Strange, I know, but I think that's what love does to us when we are that age, or any age. My faith in God strengthened as I grew older. I encountered what birth and rebirth meant when I planted my very own flowers at my first house, and when I gave birth to an amazing baby, both equally spiritual experiences for me. Every spring, when I watch the green emerge from the ground, I feel an injection of belief. The mantra in my head begins with each new spring: "It's happening again. I see it." It was there all along, under the snow, under the muddy water of spring. New plants, a new life, a new page starting all over again. Oh, how I believe in those moments that all things are possible. What about you? When do you know undeniably what you believe? When do you feel strong? When do you say, "I do believe"? Now, I guess I should define the vocabulary that we're using here today. When I use the word belief, I mean an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. Note that there's no mention of religion in that definition, but certainly the ideas of faith and belief are often used interchangeably. When we feel strong in our beliefs, in our faith, in ourselves, we grow secure and more confident. Believing in ourselves is a direct result of believing in other things. Believing in other people, believing in our values, believing in a higher power who lifts us up and out of our pain and suffering. But unfortunately, much of the time we are not fixated on our belief. Much of the time we struggle with our unbelief. Unbelief is defined as a lack of belief, an absence of faith. Again, there's no mention of religion. This is not about being religious. This is about feeling an absence of belief. And I bet every one of us could take a moment right now and recall a time when everything we believed to be true fell away. And we found ourselves thinking or saying right out loud, everything I have believed is a lie. And those are the moments of unbelief. We have unbelief because we have trouble navigating the pains of this life. We have unbelief because our bodies fail us. We have unbelief because we lose sight in our rights. We lose our strengths. We lose our worth in this world. Perhaps you are struggling right this moment with grief or loss that just won't stop breaking your heart. Perhaps your unbelief is caused by feelings of betrayal and the absence of love. Perhaps your unbelief is caused by consequences of choices that are completely beyond your control. Our unbelief causes us to distrust others, to distrust systems, and to distrust relationships. Our unbelief shuts us down and causes us to lose the ability to find hope and courage. Sometimes, more often than we care to admit, we just lose our way. We lose sight of what is important. We forget what really matters. And then we are filled with unbelief. Our unbelief cripples us. I do believe. Help my unbelief. The human spirit is amazingly strong. Bernard Williams has said, man never made any material as resilient as the human spirit. We can rise up over obstacles, challenges, addictions, brokenness, and suffering. When we think we are at the end of our rope, we are surprised. We are surprised by our own strength, surprised by support from our friends and our family. We are surprised by love and the kindness of strangers. We are surprised when we remember all over again what we believe. There is an indomitable force within every one of us, a desire to thrive that resists being snuffed out, a drive to maintain life and living that surpasses logic at times. I think that we are living our life on earth in order to learn and to serve. We learn and we get smarter and we get stronger and we get more resilient, and then we help others. We serve them, we give to them, we love them, and then we learn from that experience and we get stronger and smarter again, and on goes the cycle until it doesn't. Sometimes we create our own unbelief because we have stopped believing in ourselves. Author Frederick Murphy has said, when you stop believing in yourself, you negatively impact absolutely everything that matters to you. Absolutely everything that matters to you. We have probably lost some of our ability to believe in ourselves because of the setbacks, the failures, and the challenges of life. Our trust gets shaky. It's not as firm as it once was. We are filled with hesitation because of thousands of disappointments. How do we get that innocent belief back? How can we rediscover the childlike faith that germinates from something as small as a mustard seed? Well, I think it's kind of simple. I think we take a lesson from nature. Everything we once believed and felt, all of our strengths and goodness and love is still there. Even when we no longer believe, it's just hidden beneath the layers of loss and anger and frustration. Just like the dead grass and leaves cover up the little green sprout that fights to reemerge every spring. It was there all along, hidden just under the surface while the winter weather took its toll on our yards and on our spirits. While we piled on layers of clothes and coats and moved against the wind, that little plant that we forgot all about was there all along. It was just waiting for the right time to come back to us. Just like our faith, just like our belief. Do you believe you can do this? And by this, I mean this thing called life. This tremendous, difficult life on earth that we have before us. Now, I don't think that we can actually move literal mountains by extending our fingers like little boy did. But I know, undeniably, that figurative mountains have been moved in my life. I know that unbelievable goodness has surprised me over and over. I know that I am encouraged every day by the ability of belief to make me stronger and more resilient. I have felt delirious joy in the return of my long-lost belief when I was steeped in unbelief. I know that when we least expect it, belief will come back to us. I do believe. Help my unbelief. Amen. George Eliot wrote, "Belief consists in accepting the affirmations of the soul, unbelief in denying them." It is my prayer today that if you are experiencing a season of unbelief, you will soon be surprised by the arrival of belief. As you leave here today, please feel free to take the flowers with you. Leave the vases for future reference and future times. Have a fantastic Sunday and go in peace. Amen.